Hey, you're listening to the Youth for Youth podcast, a podcast led and run by youth with a mission to spark curiosity amongst youngsters across the globe. Hey friends, welcome to the first episode of the Youth for Youth podcast, a podcast made by youth for youth to ignite the spark of curiosity in you. I'm your host KK, and today I am delighted to have Amie, one of our education executives, to tune in with us on this very first episode. So I'll let Amie introduce to you today's big question. Take it away, Amie.
Hi, I'm Amie, the educational executive of Youth for Youth, and your co-host for today's episode. Now, I would like to introduce you to today's question, which is, do blind people dream? In this episode, we're going to discuss the science behind this question and explore the workings of the brain. Keep in mind that we're not experts in the field, but our information is fully based on previous research by scientific studies. To begin, let's hit the basics. We need to understand how we form images in our brain. Step 1. Capture. Imagine your eyes are like a camera. We capture visual information by our eyes. Similar to taking photos, light enters our eyes when we look at an object. Special cells in our eyes convert light signals into electrical signals so that our brain can understand, which leads us to step 2, process. Electrical signals travel to the brain by a special optic nerve cell. The speedy travel only takes a few milliseconds. Electrical signals are like the messages from our eyes to the brain. And step 3, understand. Our brains look at these messages like a piece of puzzle, trying to work out what they mean. Our brain makes sense of these puzzles by matching what we see with what we already know. If there's a match, the jigsaw puzzle is solved, and we can now see the image.
Which leads us to today's big question. If blind people can't see, can they even dream? And if they can, how?
Some researchers say that people who are visually impaired lack this amazing ability to dream, but others say the opposite. This all comes down to a brain activity, specific tasks, actions, or behaviors which target a specific region of the brain. For example, when we dream, the amygdala, one of many brain regions involved in dreaming, is stimulated. This means that the region of the brain is communicating, and it's active. Another factor to consider is when they became blind. Are they blind in a later stage of life, or are they blind from birth? Individuals who are not blind from birth are found to have similar brain activity when they dream to people who are not blind. This means that parts of the brain, for example, the amygdala and the hippocampus, are active. So, they do see visual images while they dream, but maybe not as much as people who are not blind. These images may come from when they became blind, but, more interestingly, blind people's dreams are based more on their sensory experiences. Let's recap on the 5 senses. Can you tell us what they are, KK?
It's see, vision. The second one is hear, auditory, right? Third one is taste, gustatory. And then followed by smell, olfactory. And then lastly we have touch, right? Tactile.
Spot on. If we remove vision, this leaves us with hearing, taste, smell, and touch, which are more commonly experienced in the dreams of a blind person. This shows the incredible ability of our brains to adapt and craft a detailed experience, even in the absence of sight.
Well, that's interesting. This makes me really wonder, how about people who've been blind since birth? They don't really have any visual memories, right? quite like the first group, researchers found similar brain activities during sleep and dreams in blind people, so people who've been blind since birth, and people who are normal sighted. But how does your body do that? How do we form visual images without ever seeing the world? Many researchers describe that visual dreams of blind people come from images generated internally by the brain, using input from other senses rather than from past memories. This leads us to wonder, what kind of images do blind people see in their dreams? Do they simply see vague shapes and colors? Or is the image clear? As of now, scientists are still unsure, but they do predict that the images blind people see are most likely to be vague shapes, colors, or movements that correlate with their other senses, for example, touch and smell. However, this doesn't mean that their dreams are less detailed or less meaningful. Their dreams are often a clear reflection of the unique experiences and perception of the world around them. So to wrap it up on this week's episode of Can Blind People Dream? The answer is yes. There's been numerous proofs in the scientific world that blind people can actually experience visual dreams. But right now, scientists are working to find out whether the dreams that they experience are like the dreams of people who are not blind. However, it is clear that blind people can actually experience vivid dreams. This is made possible by our brain's amazing adaptability. Our dreams are an extraordinary example of how complicated and complex the brain is, and what it's capable of. Now that we've explored about dreams, we can't help but become more curious about the brain and its capacity. What else is it capable of? What else have we not discovered? And what else still remains a mystery to mankind? Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end of our very first episode. Thank you to our guest speaker today, Amie. How's that? Did this episode get you curious? Stay tuned for weekly bite-sized episodes around all things curious. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and TikTok under the name youth4youth.global, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with the name Youth for Youth for your weekly dose of curiosity.